I'm going to do the fire station right now. And the fire station, this is actually my second time doing it because the first time I made some mistakes. So I don't have all my fabric cut to the exact measurements, but you are going to need your background fabric. Your inner building is, maybe I do have most of this, but this is going to be your inner building. And then you're going to have your building. I'm using this instead of the polka dot because I didn't have it. So that's going to be my building. You have your foundation. This is going to be my foundation fabric. The floor division is going to be the same fabric. Your garage door, let me see, the garage door is going to be... So there's your foundation and your garage door. It's a little strip of fabric that goes right above. Let's see if I have that. And it might be the black. So garage door is the white on white. So that's going to be your garage door. Your truck, this is going to be the truck. The windows are going to be the white with the blue polka dot. I'm going to put mine on in sections. The windows, the fire truck, the embroidery leather clock face is going to be the navy. And then the embroidery leather, the clock is the silver. The face is the navy. The tires, that's black leather. The embroidery leather for your bricks, that is going to be the white leather. And then you're going to have the candy colored vinyl for the window. That's going to be the green. And then the clear vinyl for the truck windows. And then you also need some of that permanent topping. The permanent topping is going to be the stuff that's kind of plasticky. And that just makes it so your white is a complete fill and there's nothing peeking through. So let's go ahead and get started just with hooping. And we are also going to be doing the pre-quilting. So let me put this to the side. I'm again using that muslin as my stabilizer instead of the no-show mesh. And I'm using an 8x12 hoop. Remember, if you are not pre-quilting, you can do this in the 6x9, the 6x10 hoop. But if you are doing the pre-quilting, the embroidery field's a little bit too big to be in your 6x10 hoop. There we go. I'm going to just pull those little lines out. And your background piece is going to be 8.5 by 10.5. And then when we go to do our quilting, you need to refer to your quilting instructions. And again, we are doing the 4x8 size. And if you're doing the 4x8 size, it's this one. No, I'm sorry. We're doing the 6x8. So we're doing this one. The 4x8s are the two end quilt squares. So right here, it's going to tell you that you need to select the file size is 6x8. And you need a piece of batting that is going to be 7x9. So let's grab that and I'll meet you at the machine. So I have my machine loaded with a white Premon bobbin. And I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go to Main Street Celebration. And I am doing the firehouse. So make sure it says fire. It's actually this fire station. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. Let's go ahead and set it. And let me go back. Hang on. Because I need to set the embroidery design first, or the quilting design. So let's go in here. We're going to do Quilting Patriotic. And we are doing 6x8, which is this one. Go ahead and set it. Now we're going to add the design. And I like to choose my hoop size too. So I'm going to go up here to my settings and I'm going to choose my 8x12. Let's go ahead and hit add. Main Street Celebration. There's the fire station. Now we should have it all set. And it does matter. You know what? I could have loaded it and then gone here to edit. And I could have just changed my stitching order right here. So I could have left it the way it was. But this will allow you. Do you see how it's stitching out my quilting and then my firehouse? And I could have just hit that and switched it around. So I did not have to go back and start all over. But this is kind of good. A little mini lesson to show you that. Okay. Let me just check that. Make sure I have it right. Okay, quilting first. That's what we want. I'm going to hit embroidery. And I'm going to put in here my white deco bob. And because I've been using that for my quilting. So I'm going to take out, right now I have a cream colored thread in here. So let me go ahead and take that out. I'm going to put in my white deco bob. Let's put my hoop in. And just to refresh your memory, the steps for the quilting will be number 1, stitch the batting placement line. Then we're going to place the batting, tack the batting down, trim the batting, and then we'll do the fabric, the background fabric placement line. Place your background fabric, tack it down, and then we're going to stitch out the quilting stitches. And then we'll go on to our regular embroidery design instructions. So here we go. Let's just go ahead and hit start. I'm going to grab my piece of batting and I'm just going to give a little shot of spray to the back. Make sure you're spraying the wrong side of your batting. Okay, let's go ahead and place it. Make sure you're covering that entire line and hit start. Now we're going to tack it down. I'm going to get my applique scissors, my double curved, and get those ready to trim. So go ahead and just trim the batting right to the stitch. All right. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and hit start. It's going to do the placement line for my background fabric. Here is my background fabric. I'm going to give this a little shot of spray to the back. And if you see that space in between the batting and the stitch line, that is where you're going to be stitching so that it doesn't get bulky with batting in between. Okay, I have a little bit of a selvage on here, so I'm folding it up a little bit higher than I normally would. And I'm going to line it up with that center mark here and the center mark over here. And that looks good. And let's just flip it back. I'm going to press it down a little bit. And let's hit start. This is going to be the tack down. Go ahead and hit start. And now it's going to do the quilting. So we are done with the quilting portion of the design. And when you do the pre-quilting, then what you're going to do is you are going to skip these 2 steps. You're going to skip step 1 and step 2 of the embroidery. We're going to go straight here to step 3. And this step says stitch the inner building placement line, and it is showing you a color. It's showing you that that like darker blue. So you also have to remember to skip those steps here on the machine, which is something that I love to forget. So we're going to go down here. This is where you can go forward and backwards colors. And this right here is the placement line. I'm going to skip that because we already placed our background fabric. This is the tack down line. Ours is already tacked down, so I'm going to skip that. And now we're in the right place. So I'm going to go ahead and change out my thread. Let me put in my blue. Okay. Go ahead and stitch out your placement line. You're going to grab your I think it's 3.5 by 3.5. Give it a little shot of spray to the back. Oh, it's hard to see that line, isn't it? I can see it though. I can barely see it. I'm going to put my fabric down. I had a smaller piece that I'm using. And stitch it down. Then you're going to go ahead and trim it. I wasn't threaded, was I?
You know there's the rest of the...
Let's go ahead and rethread and give it another go. There we go. Directions say to trim close to the stitch. Let me pull that back a little bit and let me do some trimming up. And let me do some trimming up this way. And some trimming this way, and we are good. Next thing it wants to do, if you look at your instructions, we are now on step 5, and step 5 says stitch the inner building decorative outline. This only stitches on the bottom edge, so it's going to stitch right down there, and it is still calling for it to be a blue. So let me slide my hoop back on, and it's just going to be right down here at the bottom. After this, color doesn't matter. It's going to be the building placement. The building is red, so I'm just going to go ahead and should I change it to red? Let's go ahead. Since color doesn't matter, and it's going to not matter for steps 6 through 15, I really like to do those usually in like a gray. So I'm going to put a gray in. So just did that little decorative stitch right at the base. Let me get my gray. Okay, we are on step number 6. And if you look at your screen, it's going to show you it is the placement line for the building. And this is your big piece of red. It's the piece that's going to be 4 by 7. And I'm using this cherry piece. I don't even know why I have this cherry piece. I think I was just digging through my scrap bin. So I gave it a shot of spray to the back. I'm just going to pull it forward so it's a little easier to place down. Let's go ahead and slide that back on. Here's your tack down stitch. This is step number 7. Step number 8 is going to be the foundation piece. That's going to be the one that kind of looks like it's a little woven. Get your scissors ready so you can trim this. This you want to trim close to the stitch. Let's pull that forward a little bit and let's do some trimming. Look how cute that looks. All right, I'm going to slide that back on. It is now, let's see. That looks like, oh yeah. So it's just going to be the placement stitches for the foundation. Now the foundation, it's just 2 little tiny squares of fabric. So I'm going to give my fabric a little shot of spray. And if you want, you could just stitch those. I'm going to do one at a time. I'm going to stitch this one, and then I'm going to trim it, and then I'll stitch the other one. So I just hit my stop button. So even though it moves over, it's going to stop before it starts stitching the next one. And then I'll stitch this one. I'll just trim this one too. Sometimes I do this when there's like the windows too. Okay, let me go ahead and stitch this one. And there are my 2 foundation pieces. Next, it's going to do the garage door placement. And that garage door, that was the one where I wasn't sure exactly which fabric it was. That's the one where it's going to be the white on white. A white dot on white dot. All right. So go ahead and hit your start button and get your piece of white on white. And give it a little shot of spray, and make sure you're spraying it on the wrong side. These are always kind of hard to see. Oh, look at that. It's so tiny. And my pieces might not be cut exactly how they were supposed to. I just kind of was grabbing pieces to make it fit. Because remember, I've already done this one, and I was just doing it again to have a better film for you. Okay, we are done with, that is the, let's see, that was step 11, which is the garage door tack down line. Next thing we're going to do is stitch the floor division placement line. So I'm going to go ahead and hit start. And this is, again, going to be the like woven fabric. The one that looks like it has a weave to it. Let me see if this is big enough. It is big enough. This is still left over from the foundation piece that I cut in 2 pieces. Give that a little shot of spray. Come up here, tack it down. We're going to trim this, and then we're going to do the window placement. I must always hold my fabric up. I feel like I get a better, closer cut. Okay, gonna hit start. It's gonna do the window placement. I'll give my window a little shot of spray. Okay, I'm going to lay this down. I'm probably going to do it in 2 sections just because my piece of fabric is not quite tall enough either way if I did it up here or here. So I'm going to do those top 3 windows, trim them, and then I'll do the bottom 3 windows. So after it does this one, I'm going to hit my stop button and trim. And then I'll do the bottom 3 windows. Okay, so let me go ahead and trim these 3 up. It's not the best angle for you to see, is it? Hang on, how's that? A little better? Okay, now I'm going to do those bottom 3 windows. If I can find my fabric again. Let's go ahead and put this down right here. Let's pull this forward and trim up these windows. Alrighty. It's tire time. Okay. The directions were in step 16. Directions are asking you to change your thread color to black. So I'm going to do that right now. And you want to get your black leather. They're so itty bitty, these tires. Seriously, they're so, I mean, look how tiny those are. What is that, like a 1/4 inch by a 1/4 inch? I have so many little scraps of leather. Remember, I have that whole scrap of Kimberbell leather pieces, and I really don't want you to think I'm oh, I was gonna say, I really don't hoard pieces like this, but look at that. I'm gonna go ahead and hit stop. Or maybe that isn't the perfect spot for that next one. Is it? There, I think it is now. You know, I'm not sure. Let's not take the chance. I'm really gonna splurge, and I'm gonna use this one right here. Oh, jeez. I'm embarrassed that you saw me saving this piece here. I don't know how that happened. I'm really not that bad, but I guess I really am. Okay, let's pull this forward a little bit and trim this up. These were from my tires from something else. And for the leather, it always says trim as desired. I'm going to go close, but not so totally close, but close. And this is going in the trash. Okay. I mean, who would know that that piece would be perfect? That goes in my Kimberbell bag. So I'm just going to shave a little bit off. Okay, tires are done. Now it says that the color doesn't make a difference. I am just going to, I'm sorry about that. Color does make a difference in this. It says stitch the clock post scroll work. And I want you to see it, so I'm going to do it in a lighter gray. This one's my light gray. Silver would look really good. I use my metallic silver. Slide this on. Sorry guys. This is actually the placement for the fire truck. We're on step 18. Here's my fabric for my fire truck. I'll give it a little shot of spray. Let's put this down. Let's try and get him not so crooked. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and trim this. And while I've had time to think about it, I am going to use my metallic silver for the scroll work on the scroll work on the clock, because the clock itself is going to be the silver leather. So I just think that'll look good. Here we go. So now we are on step 20. Step 21 says to stitch the clock post placement line, and then you're going to put down your clock post leather, which is going to be the silver leather. Okay, I'm going to leave that metallic silver in. This is going to be a placement for the clock post. And let's see if I have something long enough and big enough. So this is my leftover piece from my first one. And I think it is going to be just big enough. I'm going to turn it the tiniest bit. And let's go ahead and stitch it down. So what that shows you is you can get 2 clocks out of that piece of leather. And this one, I think, I just put it right down through the center. So you do have enough. So if you place yours carefully, you'll have enough to do 2 clocks. 2 lamp posts, or 2 clock posts. So right now, this is step 22. This is the clock post tack down line. And then you're going to trim it however you want to trim it, just to make it look pretty. let's trim the leather. I'm going to slide this off for this one, just so I can turn this as I go. Looks pretty snazzy, doesn't it? All right, we're going to slide that back on. That step right there was that was the step from the last page. If you look at your instructions, that was step 22. And now we are on to step 23. And step 23 is stitch the clock face placement. And it's still keeping it all in that gray, which I'm using the silver, so I'm just going to leave it. I don't have any more of that navy leather, so I'm just going to do my clock face in black. Okay, so that is the clock face placement. Now this is going to be the tack down. Oh, that's what that other piece was from, wasn't it? Oh, actually, it couldn't be. Maybe it was the tire swing. Okay, so that was step 24. Again, I'm going to slide this out for this just because it's round, and that way I can turn it as I go. And then it says to use white. And the white is going to be for the hand detail. I think the black looks pretty snazzy. If that's the look you're going for, ladies. Okay, let me go ahead and take out my metallic silver. It's my King Star thread. I love you, King Star. And let's put in the white. We are 18 minutes into 56 minutes. And almost an hour of filming for me. So you see it takes a lot longer than the 56-minute stitch time that is on your machine. So after this is step number 25, which is to stitch the clock hand detail. Then we're on to step 26, which is to stitch the garage door detail. And the garage door detail is going to be in black. Alrighty. Let me put my black in. After this step is step 27, which is to stitch the foundation satin outline. I'm going to do that in a medium gray. Okay, again, this is step number 27, and it's going to outline the foundation. So let's put in some medium gray, or you could do, you know what, I will do that. I go back and forth between this medium gray and this darker gray. I'm going to just do the darker gray. And then after this is step 28, which is the building satin outline, and that's going to be in red. So just have your red ready. Red on standby. Looks so good. Okay, I'm going to put my red in. I'm going to check my bobbin too, just because this is going to be 6 minutes of stitching. I think that should be enough. So I just don't want to have to do bobbin change in between. Let's put my red in. And just go ahead and let that do its 6 minutes of stitching. after you do the building satin outline, you're going to be doing the fire station sign and the floor division satin outline, and that's going to be in, let's see, 29. I'm going to just use that same dark gray that I used down here on the foundation. Okay, so I'm putting in my dark gray. This is 4 minutes of stitching. right, there is a black flagpole. Let's go ahead and stitch that. And then we're going to stitch the roof satin detail, and I'm going to do that in that light brown that we've used on some of the other embroideries. Here's my light brown. So this is step 31. This is the roof satin detail. After this is the brick placement line. All right, let's go ahead and put in our white thread. Now we're doing the bricks that go on the bottom sides of the building. This is going to be the placement stitch, and then you're going to be placing your white leather. Look how. So let me go ahead and just trim this up. And just slide that out. Give myself a little more room. All right. Let's stitch down the other side. All right. And that's already on. The last thing I'm going to do right now is I'm going to stitch my satin stitch outline on my windows. So let me put my blue on. And this is going to be 5 minutes of stitching. And it's just going to do across the, like a horizontal line across the middle, and then the left side, top and right. The bottom part is going to be done in that gray, because that's going to be the ledge. Okay, we are going to put in the dark gray again and do those window ledges. I keep waiting for my bobbin to run out, but it just seems to keep going and going and going. So this is step number 35. We are on page 17 of our directions. And you want to get your vinyl, the greenish colored vinyl, because we're going to be stitching that down next. Look how cute that firehouse looks. It's just adorable. Okay, so if you have your green vinyl, you're looking for this stuff that is this, it's got a greenish hue to it. I'm doing this for the second time, so these are kind of my scraps. So I'm going to show you what to do. If you have yours, you're just going to put down that whole piece. If you're doing what I'm doing and you're using whatever's left over, you're going to lay it down, stop, trim, lay it down, stop, and trim, and use every last bit of it. So I'm going to lay my first one down. I'm going to hit stop. Put my foot up, slide it out a little bit, and I'm going to trim this one up. Whoops. Be careful not to catch your windowsill. And you can trim this as close as you want or as far as you want. This is your finishing stitch, so there is no other stitch other than this. And that one is done. I'm going to slide this back on. I'm going to get my next spot that I have that is usable, and I'm going to put this down. You know, and if I put it right on the blue, I don't even know if I'm going to have to trim. I'll have to trim the tiniest bit. Let me hit stop. Foot up. Go back. Let's do my next window. Where should I go with this one? How about right here? Kind of fun like this. But like I said, if you have your piece from your embellishment kit that's already trimmed down, you're just going to lay that one piece down. You're going to let it do the entire stitch out, and then you're going to trim each one of your windows individually. Put down, lever down all the way. And I'm all done with my trimming, and I think I had to do less trimming because I laid it right on the edge of the blue. Alrighty, I'm going to trim my final window. We can get our side hoppers in here later. And We are on to step number 37, and this is the fire truck light fill. And this is going to be in red. So let's go ahead and put in our red. So we're on step number 37. So we just finished the vinyl window tack down. And now we're going to do step number 37, which is going to be, if you look at your directions, 37 right here. And we're going to do that little red stitching. So 37, 38, and 39 are all going to be in red. And I know there's two different reds you could use. I just use the same red for all of those. So let me go ahead and put my red in. And so this is the fire truck light fill. And then we're going to do the fire truck satin outline and then the fire truck panel fill. I'm just going to hit start. And I'm going to hit start again. And this is going to be the fire truck panel fill. After this is step 40, and step 40 is going to be the fire truck side mirror, grill, and bumper detail. So I'm going to do those in gray. Okay, let's go ahead and I'm going to put in a medium gray. And this is going to do all the fire truck detail. And then after this, we're on to step 41, and step 41 is going to be the fire truck headlights. I'm going to do that in gold. Okay, so we just finished up this step right here, which was step, if I can get it to focus, where we did all of this stitching in step 40. Now we're on to step 41. We're going to do that in gold, and it's just going to be the little headlights. Let me change out our thread. Okay, we're going to put our white thread in, and this is step 42. Step 42 is the window placement line. So, and we're just going to do that in white. Now, your window placement line is going to be for putting down that permanent topper, that white permanent topper, which is kind of that plasticky white material. Okay, so this is a placement line, and grab that white plasticky material. And what this does is when it does the fill, if it doesn't quite fill it all, this will be down, so it doesn't make a difference. And this is permanent. This is going to stay in there. You're just going to rip it away. And that's what I used from the last one I did. And I love this stitch because it's textured. I don't know if you can see that, but it looks so cute. So this is step 43, which is to stitch the window fill, and then we're going to tear away the excess permanent topping. This is a good time to have a good pair of tweezers. I love my Fermore precision tip tweezers. Okay, so I'm going to pull this back a little bit so I can get to it. And just pull in towards your embroidery. And some of it just cuts right through, so you're not even going to have to remove it. Where you're going to have to get those tweezers is going to be right here in between. I have a little thread. See if I can get that. Perfect. Look how cute that is. Okay, now it wants you to place vinyl down, and this is going to be the clear vinyl. Do I have some clear vinyl? I have like little pieces of everything laying everywhere. So I'm going to take the vinyl, and let me just put it down right over here. I'm going to put it like that. And let me slide my hoop back on. You can tape it down if you want. You want to completely cover those windows, and then you're going to trim as desired. Okay, so I'm just going to pull this forward a little bit, and I'm just going to trim them in the corners so it's not as sharp looking. Looks good. All right, and now we are on, that was step 44. Now we are on to step 45, which is to stitch fire station. All right, anytime I have fine print, so if you look right here, that is what it is going to be stitching as the fire station. I'm going to just assume that my white might come up. It just does. I don't know why. But if you have fine print like that, you might want to just change your thread. So I am going to go ahead and I am going to change out to a black bobbin, just being proactive. Look how much I have still on that bobbin. I just can't believe it. If you really want it to look good and really look detailed, you could also put 60 weight thread in the upper. So I do have 60 weight thread that I use. I think when I did it the first time, I just used my my regular 40 weight. I'm just going to put my 40 weight in. But match that bobbin. Put in that black bobbin for sure. And I'm using a black Filtech pre-wound machine embroidery bobbin. And here we go. And then we're on to the fireworks and on to trimming. Looks really good. There we go. And now we're on to step number 46. So 46 is going to be to stitch the white star and firework explosion. Remember, whenever it has that, in the description, I've been using my metallic silver thread. So I'm going to put my metallic silver in. I have also found that I've had less issues with my metallic thread when I've used my thread stand as opposed to my horizontal spool pin. I like using my horizontal spool pin, but not when it causes my thread to break. So this is just going to do one little star, and then it's going to do one firework. And after this, we're going to put in the red metallic. And there's no applique for this one, so there's no rocket. right, let's put in the red metallic. This is going to do, I think, 2 little stars. And then we're going to put in the blue for the eyelets. Okay. So I'm going to put the blue in to stitch out those eyelets. And this is a good time to heat up your iron because we're going to press our embroidered block. And then we're going to trim it down with our pop ruler. All right. I'm going to turn on my iron. And we are done. I'm going to go ahead and slide this off the machine. I am going to take you over here to where we're going to do some pressing and cutting. And let's go ahead and pop this out of the hoop. You're going to see, do you see how it's pulling in right here? It's just the nature of embroidery. When you do embroidery, a lot of times it just sucks it in a little bit, especially the more dense your project is, the more you might get some of that. So let me go ahead and move my hoop. You can see I leave my muslin, like I just leave it in one long strip. So all of that muslin that was on the bottom half, I'll use that in my next hooping. So I'm going to take this. We don't have glitter that we need to press, so I'm not going to have to do that. But I'm going to take this and put it on the wrong side. And I'm going to go ahead and best press. I guess you could use steam or something. And I'm going to take my iron, and I want it to be nice and flat because it's going to curl a lot. Sometimes I'll just go from the inside to the corners. Kind of depends on my mood. And again, if it's directional fabric, like let's say it was stripes, I would be more careful, and I would do less ironing and more pressing. But I just want this to sit nice and flat. Got a curl right here. I can tell it's not flat right in this section. I'm going to give it another little spray right here. Okay, let's look at it from the front side, and it looks great. Remember, again, I'm not using, I'm not cutting, whoops, hitting everything. I am not really, let me see if I can move this right here. I'm not taking out that basting stitch because it's just going to get sewn in, and I just figure, why do that? Why take the time to do that when it's just going to get sewn in? But here's my pop ruler. And I know this isn't a cut line, but I am using it as guidance because my batting is centered below that. So I'm just going to go ahead and take it. And I'm not measuring from the bottom like the instructions tell you, because if you do that, then you're going to be into, do you see right here, if I go 1/4 inch, I'm going to be into my batting. That batting's going to get sewn in, and then you have all this extra room over here. So I think as long as you're consistent, you can do whatever you want, but I'm just going to go ahead and center this to my pop ruler. And I'm just going to get as even as I can. A little excess here, and a little excess here, and a little excess here, and a little excess on the top. And that looks pretty good to me. Now I'm just going to go ahead and trim. So when you do your pop rulers, take your ruler, push it into the very bottom corner, and even pressure, walk your hands up as you're cutting so the pop ruler doesn't move. If you can do 2 cuts, I could do another cut right here. So I'm just going to move myself. Okay. And then I'm just going to go ahead and rotate my whole, this is a 12 by 12 rotating mat. So I did that cut and that cut. So now I'm going to do left side, and I'm going to do this cut, and I'm going to try and go all the way up there. And you're leaning your cutter in a little bit. So you're leaning it in a little bit to the left. The first time I ever used my pop ruler, I didn't do that, and I cut into my block, and I was so upset. I was like, these pop rulers are horrible. And then I did it again, and I was like, okay, it's just me. It's me. I love the pop rulers, and if you are going to be doing a lot of Kimberbell, it's well worth the investment because these are the sizes that they cut to. So look how gorgeous that is. And don't worry about taking that basting stitch out. It's just going to get sewn in. Fire station, done.